I want the public to know that I'm a real person, and I feel the same pain and the same disappointment and the same joy, and I get excited about the same things. And that there's hope, you know what I'm saying? And God is great, and that my music is for them, you know what I'm saying? It's not that I strive to be a positive role model, but I just strive to be myself, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not really doing this to please anyone but God, you know? And sometimes, you know, when you choose a side, particularly God's side, you automatically will have enemies, you know, you automatically have opponents, people who would rather see you fall and rise, you know, so you have to be careful.
You're just too good to be true. Can't take my eyes off of you. You be like heaven to touch. I wanna hold you so much. Ooh, la la la, it's the way that we rock when we doing our thing. Ooh, la la la, singing my life with his words, killing me softly. Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Find you and take it slowly. Gonna find you and make you one. Capture your bounty like Elliot Ness. Yes, a witch's brew if you do voodoo. I could do what you do easily. While you imitating Al Capone, I be needing Simone and defecating on your microphone. 3 week percussion spin, showing off your ass cause you thinking it's a trend, girlfriend. You know you better watch out. Girls are only about be so simple, but you rather make it hard. Tell me who I have to be. I'm getting so red. Reciprocity. I keep letting you back in. How can I explain myself? Unfold like flowers before these. Drive the dark cloud down away. Give her the immortal light. Oh, fill us with the light of day. Jason to the king, fear no human being. Now hear this mixture where hip-hop meets scripture. Develop a negative into a positive pick. Everything is everything. Everything is everything.
Hey friend, welcome to my channel karinealourde, where we deep dive and break down the most iconic stars in history. If you're not yet subscribed, please be sure to do so and turn your notifications on so you never miss an upload. Now let's get into this video. I'm gonna tell you guys a secret. Lauryn Hill is my #1 all-time favorite lyricist and performer, all time. So it is pretty difficult to get into some of these topics that we're about to get into this video, but I have so much sympathy for Miss Lauryn Hill. If you haven't heard of Lauryn Hill, then you're in for a treat of epic proportions. This woman is a powerhouse of talent with a resume that would make even the most decorated musicians blush. From her incredible vocals to her mesmerizing songwriting, Lauryn Hill has left an indelible mark on the music industry, and her influence can still be felt to this day. First off, Lauryn Hill has won an impressive 8 Grammy Awards, making her one of the most decorated female artists of all time. But that's just the beginning. The fact that she was the first woman to ever receive 5 Grammy nominations in one night is amazing. Or that she sold more than 19 million copies of her 1998 album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, which still holds the record for the most Grammys ever won by a female artist in a single year. And her album had no skips. Lauryn is the ultimate record breaker, and let's not forget that she did this all before the age of 25. She's also the first woman to have a rap album debut at #1 on the Billboard 200 charts in her solo album. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill has been certified diamond, an honor only given to a select few albums in history. But her impact goes beyond just breaking records. Miss Lauryn Hill has made history by standing up for social justice and advocating for change through her music. She used her platform to shed light on issues like police brutality, racism, and inequality. Her songs like Doo Wop, That Thing, and Everything Is Everything. Comment below your favorite Lauryn Hill song, even if she was with the Fugees at the time. And let's not forget Lauryn Hill's global influence. Her music has touched hearts and moved bodies all around the world. Her fusion of hip hop, soul, and reggae has inspired countless artists and helped to shape the sound of modern R&B. Her message of love and hope has resonated with people from all walks of life, making her a true global citizen. Before we get into some toxicity of the media and what's been going on, let's get into her beauty influence, right? Because she has been so influential with her beauty and fashion. For decades now, Lauryn Hill has been one of the most influential figures in fashion and hair. She has left an incredible mark on the world of music and style, thanks to her iconic looks and boundary-pushing approach to beauty. But beyond her incredible talent and fearless approach to life, what are some of Lauryn Hill's beauty secrets, and how does she stay looking so youthful even now? Let's take a closer look. First, it's worth noting that Hill has always been a champion of natural beauty. She's shown us time and time again that embracing our natural hair and features is not only beautiful, but empowering. Her textured locks, braids, and afros have inspired countless women to love their own hair and explore new styles. Well known for styling her hair in locks, braids, and bantu knots and afros, Hill is often associated with the revival of the natural hair movement. She has been credited as one of the people who've helped normalize locks and introduce them to pop culture. One of the most impactful moments with her was when she graced the cover of Time magazine with her locks and being named on People's 50 Most Beautiful People in 1999 with her locks as one of the most definitive moments in the history of black hair. In an interview with Vogue, R&B singer SZA stated, "The only girl that I could look to for natural hair inspiration growing up was Lauryn Hill," end quote. But what about her hair care routine? For starters, Hill has shared that she avoids harsh chemicals in her hair products and opts for natural organic formulas whenever possible. She also believes in regular trims to keep her hair healthy and prevent split ends. When it comes to styling, she's known for experimenting with a variety of looks, from bold updos to simple head wraps. She was never boring, okay? As for her skin, Hill credits a healthy diet and staying hydrated as key factors in maintaining her youthful glow. She's been vocal about the importance of eating a balanced diet full of fresh fruits and vegetables and avoiding processed foods and excess sugar. She also swears by drinking plenty of water throughout the day to keep her skin hydrated and radiant. But what about her personal style? Hill is known for her eclectic fashion sense, often mixing vintage pieces with more modern designs. Her signature look is a fusion of bohemian and street style with loose-fitting clothes, bold prints, and eye-catching accessories. She's not afraid to take risks with the fashion choices, and her fearless approach to style is what makes her stand out as a fashion icon. She is often named as a leading contributor in the modern popularization of the hoop earrings, which first grew in popularity among black women in the 1970s before reaching a wider audience after female hip-hop artists like Hill wore them in the 1980s and 1990s. She is considered as an inspiration for Kanye West's fashion. R&B singer Solange also cited Hill among her style influences in interviews for Fashionista. British fashion designer John Galliano chose Hill as his muse for the 2000 Spring/Summer Dior collection. He designed a Hill-inspired collection featuring models wearing dreadlocks and hoop earrings and introduced the Dior saddlebag in 2017 in her honor. The hip-hop-based collection, designed by Alexander Wang, as well as Tory Burke's Resort collection, were both inspired by Hill. The men's Spring/Summer 2021 Louis Vuitton collection, designed by Virgil, drew influence from Hill, with Virgil mentioning Hill as his forever muse, and she even performed at his funeral when he unfortunately passed away. Now let's get into her childhood, as you can see how iconic she is. Before we get into it, I gotta set the stage for you. Hill grew up in a family that was passionate about music. Her mother and father were avid music lovers, and Hill's childhood home was always overflowing with the sweet sounds of different genres. Her mother, Valerie Hill, was an English teacher, so that explains why her lyricism was so elite, right? And her father, Mal Hill, was an experienced computer and management consultant with a twist. He loved singing and entertaining crowds with his voice at local nightclubs and weddings. In an interview, Hill revealed that music was a constant force in her life right from her earliest memories. She said, "There were so many records, so much music constantly being played. My mother played the piano, my father sang, and we were always surrounded by music," end quote. This naturally led her to develop an ear for music, and she started taking violin lessons and attending dance classes from a very young age. Hill was not just musically inclined, she was also an excellent student and an athletic young girl who enjoyed participating cheerleading and school activities. She was a member of her high school track team, cheerleading squad, and founded the school's gospel choir when she was in the 10th grade. She took advanced placement classes and maintained an outstanding academic record with mostly A's. Despite her packed schedule, Hill never shied away from taking on new challenges. Whatever the field of area of focus, she was driven to excel and give it her all. As she recalled, and I quote, "I had a love for, I don't know if it was necessarily for academics more than just for achieving, period. If it was academics, if it was sports, if it was music, if it was dance, whatever it was, I was always driven to do a lot in whatever area I was focusing on at the moment," end quote. She was always the life of the party, cracking jokes and making people laugh. She was a vivacious personality who could light up a room with her radiant smile and boundless energy. She also loved reading books and writing poetry, two hobbies that eventually translated into her songwriting prowess as a musician. Lauryn Hill's childhood was a melting pot of diverse activities, talent, and interests that shaped her into the multifaceted artist we know and love today. Her parents' unwavering support and encouragement allowed her to explore all her passions, laying the foundation for a career that would go on to inspire millions worldwide. Now let's get into her career. Lauryn Hill got her start in the music industry as a member of the legendary group The Fugees. The group consisted of Hill, Wyclef Jean, and Pras Michel, and they were known for their unique blend of hip-hop, reggae, and soul. The Fugees first met when Hill was in high school, attending Columbia High School in New Jersey. She and her friend at the time, Pras, formed a group called Translator Crew, which later morphed into The Fugees. Once the Fugees were formed, they hit the ground running. Their first album, Blunted on Reality, wasn't a huge commercial success, but it was their second album, The Score, that really put them on the map. The Score won a Grammy for Best Rap Album and featured hit songs like Killing Me Softly, my favorite, and Ready or Not. Lauryn Hill's powerful voice and heartfelt lyrics cemented her status as a force to be reckoned with. She had officially arrived. Although Hill's success with the Fugees was massive, it was her solo career that really set her apart. After the Fugees disbanded in 1997, Hill released her debut solo album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, in 1998. The album was a massive success and won 5 Grammys, including Album of the Year. It featured hits like Doo Wop, That Thing, and X Factor. Hill's solo career found her even further pushing the boundary between hip-hop and soul, and she quickly became an icon for female empowerment and self-expression. But did you know that Lauryn Hill also had a stint in the film industry? In 1993, Hill appeared in the film Sister Act 2 alongside Whoopi Goldberg. And let's not forget her time as a regular on the soap opera As the World Turns. Let's talk about Hill's early years in the music industry. It's a little known fact that Hill used to do her homework in the bathroom stalls of hip-hop clubs. She was so dedicated to her craft that she refused to let anything get in the way of her dreams. She was determined to succeed. Hill's hard work and dedication paid off in spades, and it's a good thing she never gave up. But what happened? She ended up disappearing out of thin air. Lauryn Hill, the Grammy Award-winning artist, had everyone talking when she disappeared from the public eye in the year 2000. Rumors were swirling as fans and the media alike tried to make sense of her sudden departure. Some even speculated that she had gone crazy. But the truth behind her disappearance is far more intriguing than what you may have heard. It all started when Hill began to feel the pressure of fame weighing heavily on her shoulders. She was tired of not being able to do simple errands without being hounded by the paparazzi, and she was done with the superficiality and insincerity of the music industry. So she made a bold move and fired her entire management team, but that wasn't all. She also stopped doing interviews, watching television, and listening to music altogether. Can you imagine no music for Lauryn Hill? Instead, she began attending Bible study classes religiously, 5 days a week. She was there soaking up the word of God, and while there she met Brother Anthony, her self-proclaimed spiritual advisor. But what was Lauryn Hill really up to during those 2 years of isolation and introspection? She was confronting her fears. That's what. She was delving into the darkest corners of her mind to confront all the thoughts of inferiority, insecurity, and being a young black gifted woman in a Western culture. And let me tell you, it wasn't pretty, but it was necessary. Hill needed this time to master her demons and come out on the other side stronger and more resilient than ever before. She later described this period of her life to Essence, saying, and I quote, "People need to understand that the Lauryn Hill they were exposed to in the beginning was all that was allowed in that arena at that time. I had to step away when I realized that for the sake of the machine, I was being way too compromised. I felt uncomfortable about having to smile in someone's face when I really didn't like them or even know them well enough to like them. It was a very introspective time because I had to confront my fears and master every demonic thought about inferiority, about insecurity, or the fear of being Black, young, and gifted in this Western culture, end quote. Now, I talk about Hollywood all the time and we never know what goes on behind the scenes. But she grew in popularity really, really quick. And Lauryn Hill was very strong-minded. She grew up in love with her parents and she was a very wise woman, right? So there's a lot she said no to and she knew her boundaries, and there's a lot she would not change. And her music was so positive, and she stated it herself. She chose to make her music more uplifting with substance, and because of that, she said she garnered a lot of enemies. Because with that much success, you know what they will want to sell, right? We know what would blow up more, but her music was not music that you were just gonna find in the club or, you know, stuff like that. So she garnered a lot of enemies, and they really did try to tarnish her name. And it even went as far as with her taxes, which is one of the things that they always get you with in Hollywood when people don't comply. They always get you for tax evasion somehow, because every celebrity, I guarantee you, are not paying their taxes like that. So they usually hold that in reserve to make sure they have leverage on you when you're just not being obedient. And she did speak up about that. And things just started happening in the tabloids where they started just making things appear a way that it wasn't.
Then, you know what, a lot happens. You get a lot of attention quickly. We had been doing music. I'd been with the group since I was like 13 or 14 years old. I remember the success of Fuji La happened. At first, we didn't know how to take it. You know, we weren't used to that. We'd already been around the world performing with our first album, and it had like a moderate, a moderate response. You know, we would be able to go out in shows and walk amongst the crowd, and people would be like, hey, what's up? But then I remember doing one show and having girls running and screaming, and I was going, who else is here? Who's here? Until I realized that they were screaming for us.
But how did you manage to get used to the feeling then?
You know what? I never really adapted being a mega superstar. Like, I was just Lauryn Hill, you know what I'm saying? And we got a lot of attention, but it was very important to me that I continued to be just Lauryn Hill. I really appreciate my fans, because I think they always had a level of respect for me. I could still go to the store and buy some eggs, and not have to put on makeup. But it's hard, it's hard balancing and juggling. It's hard, being the regular person that you are one day and the next day being under public scrutiny, having to live your life, in front of a camera. It's not an easy thing. I mean, basically when I started this first I was still in high school. And I was just happy to be down, I was just happy to be doing it. I was real naive, There was a lot that I didn't know about. There were a lot of unspoken things that happened, not just in the music industry, but just the world in general, that I was unaware of because I was, 16 years old, just happy to be in the studio and singing and making music. Sometimes the press has been a little sensational, Sometimes they try to find things that, that for some reason cater to like this negative tabloid mentality. For some reason, when you put your soul and your music out there to the public, for some reason your everything, becomes like public access, And sometimes, when the image is too clean, people always want to try and taint it.
And in 2002, she finally emerged from her self-imposed exile with a new album, which was unlike anything her fans have ever heard from her before. It was raw, unpolished, and completely honest. Some may have been disappointed, but others saw it as Hill's way of showing the world that she wasn't going to be constrained by anyone or anything ever again. In December 2003, Hill, during a performance in the Vatican City, spoke of the corruption, exploitation, and, abuses in reference to the taking advantage of boys by the Catholic priest in the United States and the cover-ups of offenses by the Catholic Church officials. High-ranking church officials were in attendance, but Pope John Paul II was not present. The Catholic League called Hill pathologically miserable and claimed her career was in decline. They were so upset. And I must say, by now, look at what that Dalai Lama did to that boy. And look at what we know now. So was Hill really crazy? No. But of course, the tabloids took that, because how dare you speak against the Pope in front of all these leaders? They were very upset with her. And they had a field day with her in the media. And in 2005, she told USA Today, if I make music now, it will only be to provide information to my own children. If other people benefit from it, then so be it, end quote. Hill's first single in over a decade, Neurotic Society, was released on May 4, 2013. She explained that she was required to release it immediately by virtue of the impending legal deadline. Now, let's talk about her tardiness. Lauryn Hill's notorious tardiness at shows and complete no-shows to concert venues over the years have baffled fans and music industry professionals alike. Fans of the iconic singer were left disappointed when she often showed up late or even canceled performances completely with no refund. Her occasional absences from tours and lack of timely appearances have been highly criticized by the media and fans alike, who often make headlines via social media outlets such as Twitter. For instance, in 2016, Lauryn was accused of formally canceling her European tour dates due to lack of organization on her part, ultimately leaving many fans without a refund for their ticket. She later denied any wrongdoings with a press release, which only further infuriated many people who faced financial losses as a result of her delay or cancellation. In addition, Lauryn has made requests in the past that others address her as Miss Lauryn Hill or Empress. Such antics have caused some debate amongst fans on Twitter over whether certain demands are too much for a performer to make, and some claiming it can be seen as diva-like behavior, whereas others defended it as simply a matter of respect for an artist like Lauryn Hill. And I'm not taking up for her, I know I sound so biased on this video, that Lauryn Hill faced a lot of disrespect in the industry that she's been very vocal about, especially since she was in there so young, and even sometimes in her band, you know? So I think when she came back after leaving for so long, it was like, nope, I'm not coming back the same Lauryn Hill. You guys are gonna put some respect on my name. Miss Hill failed yet again to show up on time or at all for various concerts during 2018 in Dublin and Paris, leading many people on Twitter to comment that they loved Lauryn Hill but hate how unreliable she is, or that they felt ripped off. Other tweets expressed their disappointment at how greatly reduced expectations now are when attending one of her concerts, suggesting that watching her shows live is certainly not what they expected several years ago given her sudden change in behavior. Overall, although Lauryn Hill's talent is undeniable, there can be no doubt that over the years, many fans have been frustrated by her regular attendance record at events, along with refusal to offer refunds when canceling performances altogether. Now let's talk about her relationship with Wyclef. Lauryn Hill and Wyclef Jean are two talented artists who are a match made in musical heaven, but I must say my Haitian brother, my fellow Haitian brother, kind of disappointed me. Well, not even kinda, I'm very disappointed in how their relationship turned out. Before the scenes, their relationship was far from perfect. Hill and Jean began a secret love affair in the early days of the Fugees, despite Jean being married to designer Marie Claudinette. The couple's tumultuous relationship led to many dramatic moments. According to Jean, they had fights on planes and in public places that made people scatter. Hill even resorted to physical violence, with Jean claiming that she started swinging at him in the seat of a plane. Lauryn Hill herself has been vocal about her relationship with Wyclef. In her song, Mr. International, she accused Jean of being an opportunist who tried to take advantage of her. She also sang about how their relationship led to her feeling broken and used. The intense passion between the two artists drew them together, but it was also the source of their downfall. When Hill became pregnant with her first son, Zion, she tried to convince Jean that he was the father. Although Jean was married, he still felt entitled to Hill's loyalty and believed that the child was his. So he had his wife, but his mistress had to be loyal, right? When the truth came out that the baby's real father was Bob Marley's son, Rohan, Jean was devastated. He felt betrayed, the audacity for me, and could no longer forgive Hill for lying to him about the paternity of the child. The revelation led to the breakup of the Fugees and the end of their romantic relationship. Hill has been vocal about her troubled relationship with Jean, and it has even impacted her views on love and relationships. In an interview with NPR, she confessed that her past experiences with love have left her feeling broken and disillusioned. Hill has also spoken about how the music industry has perpetuated toxic relationships and behaviors, leading to a culture of abuse and manipulation. She believes that true creativity and artistry cannot thrive in an environment that promotes such negativity, and that artists need to break free from these cycles to create meaningful work. She briefly reunited with the Fugees in 2004, but continued to harbor anger. The Fugees was a conspiracy to control, to manipulate, and to encourage dependence, she told Trace magazine at the time. I took a lot of abuse that many people would not have taken in these circumstances. The relationship between Lauryn Hill and Wyclef may have been intense and passionate, but it ultimately ended in heartbreak and betrayal. Now let's talk about her and Rohan. Lauryn Hill and Rohan was once the talk of the town. The couple was together for years and shared 5 children together. They seemed like the ultimate power couple, with Hill's soaring music career and Marley's famous lineage as the son of reggae legend Bob Marley. However, things took a turn for the worse when Hill announced that she was pregnant with another man's child, leading to the couple's split. While many pointed to Hill's unfaithfulness as a reason for the split, she shut down the rumors with a statement of her own denying any allegations of infidelity or abandonment. Now, as far as her daughter, the recent revelations made by Lauryn Hill's daughter Marley have shed a light on the complicated relationship between the famous musician and her offspring in a 2-hour-long video. Her daughter, Selah, shared the memories of a childhood marred by intense discipline and a mother who was always very angry. While Hill has acknowledged that she may have disciplined her children in anger, she also pointed out that Black parents are often held to a different standard when it comes to disciplining their children. Let me read her full statement to you guys. She said, Black people, what? Selah has every right to express herself. I encourage it, but she also got the discipline that Black children get because we are held to a different standard. The discipline was seen through the lens of a young child who also had no place to reconcile me as a mom and me as a larger-than-life public figure. It took me a while to realize that my children and probably everyone who knew me saw me in this duality. To me, I am just me. If I am guilty of anything, it is disciplining in anger, not in disciplining. The toxic venom I ingested for standing on principle and confronting systematic inequality far before it was the thing to say or do. Everything you now celebrate everyone for. Ooh, the shade. The people who called me crazy and have yet to apologize and say, oh yeah, we were wrong. Of course that seeped into my home. It was intended to. An entire operation trying to break an artist with a voice and knowledge of herself, way ahead of her time, was in motion. I was affected. My family was affected. My children were affected. When I realized that the pressure on me was so incredibly hypocritical and unfair, criminal even, that even my children weren't allowed to be children. I stepped away. I wasn't removed. I stepped away, weaning myself and my family from the addictions that systems of control attempt to use through fame and celebrity is no joke. It's painful, and people are not above using my children to keep exploiting me. Keeping a child sober-minded in the midst of everyone trying to seduce and bribe and coerce is an incredibly challenging thing to do. Sell a few million copies of a recording and see the wolves and sharks for yourselves. Before you determine what's appropriate and what's not, the danger was real. And this danger I faced alone, unsupported, as I should have been, and dumped on by the same people who only a few years before built a fortune off the same gifts they later tried to deny and then copy, the shade with all the caps. My life has been about protecting my children from all kinds of danger, and that's only possible when you protect yourself from the dangers as well. Selah is on a road to healing and contextualizing her childhood, and it's allowed her process. But if you come for me, come for your own mama and those absent fathers. Ooh, come for them too. Your grandparents, your great-grandparents, your great-great-great-grandparents, your great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, Caribbean parents, African parents, and everyone else damaged and judged for being Black and forced to conform and assimilate to Western standards of order, shaped through the filter and lens of anti-Blackness. As my children mature, they see the state of the world before that. All they saw was me seemingly blocking the fun, not me aggressively blocking the trap, end quote. But while it's important to acknowledge the struggles that Hill and her family have faced, okay, now what she said was deep. It is deep, and there's so much truth to that. So much truth, shade, and gems, okay? But it is also important to hold her accountable for the harm that she may have caused her children. As a Caribbean myself, you know, I am grateful for the discipline that I received because it has kept me grounded and spared me from a lot. But at the same time, you can only wish there was a little bit more gentleness there, right? So, though I agree with her, that's my girl. I told y'all she's my favorite. There was just a twinge of gaslighting there, right? Or am I tripping? Selah's accounts of physical abuse and were deeply troubling. And it's clear that Hill has some work to do to repair their relationship. It's important to approach these issues with empathy and understanding for both sides, while also recognizing the needs for accountability and healing. Because it cannot be easy to be a celebrity parent. Everything you do will be criticized. And most celebrity kids turn out horrible, spoiled, disrespectful, because parents almost feel like, can I really discipline them in the spotlight? People will think I'm this or that. And it's really difficult to keep those kids grounded. And children often won't see that until they become adults. And usually the people that are the most grateful were those that got a little bit of discipline from their parents growing up, right? I rarely see anyone spoiled thank their parents for coming out how they came out. Rarely. And then the daughter also came out and defended her parents and said, hey, I love my parents. I know I said this, but I love them, and you know, I'm not asking y'all to bash them. I understand. So there's no bad blood there. Ultimately, the story of Lauryn Hill and her family is a complex one that speaks to larger societal issues about race, trauma, and healing. It's a reminder that we all have the power to shape our own stories, but we also have a responsibility to take care of those we love and hold ourselves accountable for our actions. And even as a viewer, you know, you're watching me, I like some of these people so much too, and I'm really invested. You know, I grew up on Lauryn Hill from Haiti. It's a big deal. We love Wyclef. She was a big part of my childhood. I grew up on her. Every function we're doing karaoke, I'm always singing Killing Me Softly or X Factor or something, you know. And it's tough sometimes to see your fave, you know, fall out of favor with the media. And Lauryn Hill said it best herself. She said, hey, one day the general public will love you and the next day won't. So you gotta keep your feet on the ground, because you never know when it's gonna be your day to get that hate, right? But sometimes it's not just unwarranted. Sometimes it's difficult to be like, hey, you know, come here, sis. If you want to stay away from the industry, because it's a lot on your mental health, like many of the other starlets that we've done breakdowns for, then stay completely away. But don't be half foot in and half foot out. And you know, you're having people pay their hard-earned money, standing in line, waiting for you to come, buying plane tickets, new outfits, getting their hair done, paying for babysitting and all that, and then you don't show up. It's not fair, it's not right, and it's not ethical. So I love my girl, I came in a match out. And that was the experience of many people. People still love Miss Hill and they're still gonna support her. And we all understand her. She's been through a lot. So we're always gonna give her some grace. And I hope this video was well understood and no one took it out of context, okay? But comment below who else would you guys like to see. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.